Hello there. Sorry about that. I just like to do a little practicing while I'm waiting sometimes for something to happen. Let me show you my favourite trick. This is a special little box. No ordinary little box, because inside it's absolutely empty. See? Nothing. Now, this is what happens. I'm going to take that pack of cards and pop it, just going to pop it in the box. Now you see it, now you don't. And it's not got up my sleeve because I've rolled them up. Nothing. Look at that. Here today and gone tomorrow. Do you know, the media have been saying that about our church for years and years, with diminishing congregations. The Church of England will be gone within 5 years. Yeah, I've read that. And recently, I read in the media that the Church of England has had to invest a considerable sum towards the upkeep of our churches. In fact, £2 billion was mentioned. Since the pandemic and lockdown, attendance numbers have fallen in many churches. So has financial giving. That's what you put on the plate. Give us your dosh. Now, in spite of all COVID restrictions being lifted, it appears that many people are still just a little tad nervous about returning to their churches. Still a bit twitchy. And the result, well, some of our churches are in trouble. Now, before I retired, I was approached by many charities and diocesan churches up and down the country who were in trouble and are requesting me to make a film highlighting the awareness and also hoping to raise much needed funds. I'll never forget a meeting I had in Bath and Wells with the bishop. There we were discussing the pros and cons of his film. And then when the meeting nearly finished, I says, "Now then, Bishop, have you thought about what you might like to call it, a title?" He said, oh, most definitely. It's going to be called For God's Sake Give. I thought, well, that's subtle. And so it was, For God's Sake Give. I'm pleased to say that all our films were all highly successful. And they did what they were supposed to do. But I was often left with the impression that whatever difficulties our church was in, they would always be there. They would always be here today and here tomorrow. I mean, Jesus said, "I will be with you till the end of time and beyond." However, we are all expected to enter the realm of risk. Do you know, I think that God loves it when we take a risk. He does. I've had to take a risk many times, all through my life. My wife keeps saying, "Oh, are you ever going to stop taking risks?" Fortunately, most of them pay off. I'm pleased to say that we've not had many dives. You know, I often think that if we put in some thought and some work and always use whatever resources are available to us, yes, miracles happen. Here's a program which I made. I hope it will be quite helpful. We made it in 1997, but I believe it's still relevant today. It's in 3 short parts. They're only about 10 minutes each. I warned you, it could be confrontational because we went out into the streets. Now, in the north of England, folk can be quite blunt, you know. But they like it back again. They appreciate you being blunt back. They're not really for wrapped up diplomacy. They like it blunt, and they give it blunt. And I've always loved them for that. I'd be very interested to hear your views. And please, don't forget to press the subscribe button. It doesn't cost you any money. It's absolutely free. And it means you will not miss anything in the future. Here then is our film, Here Today and Here Tomorrow.
When I say the word church, what does it mean to you?
I suppose it's about believing in something in a world where people don't seem to believe in much anymore.
I think the church can be a bit of a frightening, cold place for lots of people.
We don't actually think about it because it's been there from day one.
Where your family goes on Christmas Day?
Oh, well, religion and people trying to do something for somebody else and things like that.
I think it's a good thing because people learn more about what happened earlier on in life and what Jesus did and things like that. That's a good thing.
There are some very good churches and some weak ones. But we hope for the future.
Quite happily go in. Like I said, community spirit and everything. You get to meet people normally you wouldn't meet walking down the street.
At the moment it's trying its hardest but not succeeding. It's got to change.
Well, I think it's a good place for people who like that sort of thing, but I'm not really into it.
My own church is actually, I look upon it as in-laws because we've no immediate family, so except for my wife and son, they're all our relations.
I like our churches because it's happy clappy and it's just getting right into praise and worship where it should be, you know, instead of Hail Mary.
Well, I haven't really got an opinion of the church because, I mean, I'm not a fanatic with church. I'm not there every weekend. I mean, it's mainly special occasions for me. Weddings, christenings, that sort of thing.
Well, I have my own opinion of the church, as a matter of fact. I take it or I leave it.
I don't really go to church.
I don't know, it's just there, isn't it? You know, I mean, if you get depressed, you can relieve yourself at church.
The church means different things to each of us. For some, it has been part of our lives for as long as we can remember. Others come to it later in life. The church plays a special part at important times in our lives, giving us comfort when we're sorrowful and celebrating with us at times of great joy. Some have little contact with the church as an institution, but acknowledge its importance as it reaches out into the local community and beyond. They discover it at work, in our schools, in prisons, in hospitals, with those whose need is greatest. and they see it involved with national and international issues and events. So the church reaches out and touches people's lives in all sorts of ways. Whether we choose to play an active part in its life or choose to ignore it, it's still there for us when we need it. The Church of England, like other churches, is going through a time of great change. It has to face many new challenges. This is because society itself is changing. We live in a very different world to that of our parents and grandparents. If the church wants to guard what is best from its past and grow in the future, it too will have to face up to challenging changes. In many ways, our lives are easier, healthier, less of a struggle than those of former generations. But there are areas where poverty is a real issue, where in some congregations almost no one has a job. Change can cause us to lose heart. We worry that fewer people seem to want what the church has to offer. Our church building may have become a liability. The payment of our parish share takes all our available funds. And busy church folk must become busier still, now that there are fewer clergy. Do we lack commitment? Is our organisation all wrong? Are we trying to be too many things to too many people? These questions can help us to take a hard look at ourselves, but they can also distract us from many examples where local churches are meeting change positively. Many congregations, including many in urban priority areas of our cities and towns, are wrestling with the challenge of making the church of today become the church of tomorrow. Laity are taking greater responsibility for the church's life. New styles of ministry are emerging, new ways of serving people beyond the church. Are these changes for the good of the church, or do they threaten our identity as the people of God? We must be clear about what the church is and the part we play within it. We have to ask the question, who on earth do we think we are?
Are there any ways in which the church needs to change?
It seems to have worked all right for the thousands of years it's been running now. So unless it becomes more of a modern sort of thing, I mean, religion needs to be stepped up a bit maybe.
The ministers are more down to earth and not so much wearing dog collars now, wearing more conventional clothing and mixing more.
There's a definite split in the church since the ordination of women, principally, but we're not getting the leadership we should from the top.
Well, we've got a church near us and they're raising money to have a new roof on it and all that, but that's not doing anything for the people, is it?
I think a lot of churches will close down because I believe we're coming to the end of the world and stuff myself. So
I think it needs to care more for this sort of area. I always feel that the leafy areas, the nice areas, seem to be so much more wanted, and the places like this that haven't got much money, they just seem to be lost and forgotten.